Hello everyone, I'm Warren and this is Super Mario Bros. 2. This is going to be a Let's Commentary like I did with Super Castlevania 4. I'm going to have people come in and provide their voice and their take on the various worlds of the game. I'll be doing the first one, just to kind of introduce it and get everybody into it, kind of set the tone. And the twist on this one is I'm going to be having the other commentators choose who I play for each world. So I'm going to highlight each of them, and it's going to take me longer to explain than to highlight, but I'll explain them in turn. Mario is the kind of jack-of-all-trades character. He has no real strengths, but no real weaknesses. That's kind of been his thing ever since this game. Luigi's deal is that he is crazy floaty on his jump, and he has the lower traction that you're used to, but he also moves slower when he picks things up, and his jump is penalized more than the other characters except for Princess, which we'll get to. Toad has the least penalties for carrying things. Everybody, you see Mario here, picks things up and throws them. Everybody has movement and jump penalties for picking things up except for Toad. Not only does Toad not slow down when he's carrying something, he actually moves faster, and his jump is not affected at all, so he's actually one of the best characters in the game just because he doesn't take penalties from doing the thing the game wants you to do more than anything else. Princess Peach is almost the worst character. I generally call her Toadstool because of the time, but that's neither here nor there. The thing that saves her is her ability to float. She hovers in the air for about 3.4 seconds after a jump. I think that's the stat they used for it. So you have a lot of control over where she lands, and that really pays off for her. Okay, so we've been talking about this game. I want to talk about where it came from. This actually is a very old game. It was released in 1988 in America, but it has roots going back about 2 to 3 years before that. Right after Super Mario Bros. Came out, Nintendo, and specifically Shigeru Miyamoto, was working on a sequel. Now, the whole idea behind Mario is he was the kind of character you could throw into any game imaginable. He was supposed to be an everyman. That's why you see him as the referee in Punch-Out! It's why he was actually a villain in Donkey Kong Country 2. And he appears in the baseball game and things like that. Oh, not the baseball, pinball, I'm sorry. So, the whole idea was to do another platformer with Mario, but with a vertical scrolling twist, and a whole health bar instead of just power-ups in the standard fashion. Because the whole thing was intended to be different. But it didn't really come together at first, and so the idea was kind of shelved, until a festival came around. I can't remember the name of the TV festival, and I don't really feel like looking it up, so we'll leave that to the audience. But one of the shows was doing a tie-in game, was the idea. And so this whole thing came back as Yumi Kojo Doki Doki Panic. That's kind of the familiar thing. Most people mention that this isn't a, quote, true sequel to Mario 2. Well, the game worked as the Doki Doki Panic thing, and Mario 2 came around in, I think, 87, I want to say. But the Mario 2 that Japan got was this kind of really difficult mission pack kind of thing where it's like, hey, let's just throw a bunch of hard levels at the player and see how that works out. Used almost all the same assets as the original Mario game and added a bunch of cheap ways to kill you with the poison mushrooms and blocks that knock you into pits. I'm sure that sounds familiar to any ROM hack players out there. So, Nintendo of America played this game, and Howard Phillips is like, no. Just no. We're not putting this in our country. And so, they needed something to put out for Mario 2, because of course American audiences were just clamoring for more of the same. So they went to the well and pulled this out since it was originally a Mario game, put some polish on it, and then released it in the US. Of course, in 1988, I'm 7 years old. I have no idea what Doki Doki Panic is, so to me this is Mario 2. And I think a lot of people at that time were exactly the same way. It was only later that a bunch of controversy came about because not true sequel or whatever. And it's kind of pointless because a couple years later it got re-released in Japan as Super Mario USA and was a big hit there. So not only did they manage to sell the game in 2 countries in 2 different ways, but they also sold it to the Japanese twice. And of course the various remakes, like this is the Super Mario All-Stars version, as you can tell by the graphics and sound, if you can even hear the sound on this one. Oh, let's just take a hit for no reason. And a lot of memories from this one. Of course, I mentioned that you can pick things up and throw them. You don't stomp enemies like you're used to. And instead of finding mushrooms and blocks, you go through these doors made by magic potions. The vases you've seen already go down into like the pipes in Mario. You can't go down if you're holding something or if you're in the potion world, the subspace it's called, unless it's a warp zone. So we had a key and we had everybody's favorite scary mask thing, Phanto. But Phanto was one of the few that really didn't... You don't see a whole lot of Phanto these days. A lot of this stuff, Shy Guys, Sniffits, Bob-Bombs, all this stuff kind of, got put into the Mario games over the years, but you don't really see a whole lot of Phanto these days. So, here you see me bombing the blocks to get them out of the way. I think I kind of burned myself out really fast there. Let's see, what else is... Oh, okay, let's talk about the cherries. 5 cherries is a Starman. Cherries you get in Subspace count towards that, but they don't take away the cherry in the normal world. We'll go through this door here. Now earlier, here there's a way you can avoid that, but you kind of have to be playing as Luigi. With his higher jumps, you can crouch on top of one of the ninjas and just do a charged jump, which I think you've seen me do already. If you hold down crouch for a couple seconds, it'll charge and you can jump. So now we're going to fight Birdo for the second time in this. Birdo's big thing is the gender thing, which is kind of politically incorrect nowadays. Birdo was actually called Ostro in the US manual incorrectly back in the day, and Ostro was called Birdo, but Birdo's entire thing was basically a transvestite character, a guy who was dressing as a girl, preferred to be called Birdetta in fact. But given how politically incorrect that is, it's kind of been changed over the years to go back and forth. Is Birdo a guy? Is Birdo a girl? Does Birdo have a gender at all? Why is Birdo dating Yoshi? And it just goes on and on and on. So here we're seeing the end of a bonus round. You get coins in Subspace. You can only get coins 2 times in each level when you enter Subspace. The first time I did it, you saw me get 2 sets of coins. And every coin you get translates into a chance at the bonus game, slot machine. During recording for this, I don't really try too hard at the slot machine. I just kind of button mash it. So what ends up happening is I don't get nearly as many lives as I could. Here you'll see me just quickly grab a star and jump. This mushroom that you're about to see is actually pretty well hidden. It's kind of hard to get to if you don't know it's there. This actually was the cause of a re-record while I was recording this, because I was getting ready to do the commentary and I remembered, oh yeah, that was actually pretty neat. There's a mushroom up there, I should get that. So here's how you get it. You have to, as Mario anyway, you have to wait for the log to come down and then jump with some timing. With the other characters, it's easier for various reasons. Toad, of course, doesn't lose any height on his jump, so he can just charge jump holding the potion bottle. It works out fine. You could probably do that with Mario too, in retrospect. You just throw down the potion and then, during the limited time you're in Subspace. So, here we get a Starman, have the ninja completely miss us. And we're gonna go ahead and do the usual kind of explore the underground that is the hallmark of this game. These mushroom blocks are great because you can just throw them around all day and they never disappear. We'll be seeing a lot of that in various boss fights and against a couple birdos in later worlds, but for here, that's kind of the only place you see it at this point. So now we're going to see how to evade a Phanto. Phanto will pursue you endlessly as long as you're holding the key. There are two ways to kind of deal with them. There's a glitch way that I'm not going to show that involves using these mushroom blocks, but if you drop the key, Phanto goes away. If you are fast enough and move through the screens, Phanto doesn't catch up and it takes a while. So we're kind of winding down in this world. We don't have a whole lot of it left. We're going to see one more Starman, I think. 5 cherries for a Starman. I think that was how it was in Doki Doki Panic too. I think they used the same Starman idea and actually had it be a star. I'm actually not going to get this Starman because the Sparkies are there and pain. So the Hawk faces were the end of the level, but here is your first boss, so your actual boss, not just a birdo. So it's blocked off by a wall, we'll bomb that, and we'll be encountering Mauser here. Mauser is the only boss, I think. You guys can call me out on this, maybe I'm wrong, it's been a while. I think Mauser's the only major boss to appear twice. Maybe, no, Triclyde does too. I'm going to leave that in just so I can look like an idiot. But Mauser's thing, of course, is you just throw bombs at him, and that ends it. So, I want to go ahead and say it now. Thank you for watching. We'll see you for World 2 next time with another commentator. I got a little bit of the bonus footage for you coming up, so enjoy that. I'll comment on it, and we'll see you next time. Okay, so in World 1-1, you saw me take the long way around. When there's a shortcut, if you jump to the left after climbing is fine. You just throw the shy guy away, and with a little bit of timing, you drop this bomb, and it'll open up the back door. And go through there, and you'll wind up... Well, if you can actually jump properly. Luigi's about the only one who can get up there without crouch charge jumping. You'll be able to get on this side of Birdo and then do what you do. Just, same thing as always. Throw the eggs at her. 1, 2, 3. For some reason, I guess I felt really impatient here and went into teabag mode, which is lovely. I apologize for that. I guess that's kind of a thing I do when I get impatient. Meanwhile, on 1-3, if you're not going to go after that other mushroom, and why would you, with what we're about to do, if you can avoid playing like a moron here, you can pick up this potion, and come over here to this vase, and make a subspace door, and because of what it is, it's one of the few you can enter in subspace, because it is a warp zone, which will take you straight on to World 4.